Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's start the class by creating the working agreements of the class. First of all, again, a warm welcome. Thanks for taking time and first of all registering for the 2 days, I think it's 3 days discussion on the CSM concepts. I hope we have a great time together. So let's start with creating the working agreements. Any guesses, folks? What do we call working agreements as? What are working agreements?
Ground rules.
Ground rules, something that we all agree together so that we know how we want to interact with each other. Right?
Yeah.
Something that we all agree to as a team so that we know how do we want to collaborate for the next 3 days.
Yeah,
I'll add a
basic
couple of
protocols.
them. Yeah, protocols basically. I'll add a couple of them. You all can help me add the rest. Okay, so to start with, I would say try to be on mute while not speaking to avoid any background voices that we might have at our home or offices. Whenever you want to ask a question, whenever you want to share a story of yours, you want to share your experience of yours, whenever you want to talk, just unmute and talk. But try to be on video as far as possible if that is fine, as if you don't have any bandwidth issues, so that we can see each other and discuss. Right. Then we'll take 2 short 15-minute breaks, one from 1.5 hours from now, and then again an hour or so later, we'll take 2 15-minute breaks. Okay, during the class. We'll take questions at end of every module. Okay, and whenever, do not type any questions in the chat window because I may not read through all the chat logs. Whenever you have a question, you can just use the raise hands option and we will take the questions then and there once I finish that particular module. There's raise hands option on the Zoom. To ask the questions. Okay. What else, folks? Any suggestions from your end? What do we think we should be adding to our working agreements? Any suggestions from your end? We'll do a lot of exercises. So active participation. Right?
Sure, Madhvi. Madhvi, Prashil this side. Are we recording this session?
No. So these Scrum Aligned sessions are not allowed to be recorded. So we can't record these sessions. But whatever we discussed, did we all get this workbook, folks? Let me just open it up and show it to you all once. Did we all receive this workbook?
Yeah,
yes.
we have.
This workbook will be the reference source of documentation for whatever we discuss in the class. And we'll do a lot of exercises on the murals. All these mural links will be available to us even after the class is done. So that way you have all the material with you all. And I'll use my whiteboard to write and explain the concepts. If you all want to take the whiteboard notes, that also I'll share in the PDF format. So that way we'll have everything. Okay?
Okay, Madhvi. Thank you.
Any other suggestions, folks? What else we should be adding to our working agreements? I'll add something for us. Generally, people sometimes use this. This is called as yellow card. Sometimes what happens is, when somebody asks a question, we might do a too deep dive into that particular context. And whatever we are discussing may not be of interest to the whole class. We might digress away from the actual topic. So whenever it happens, whenever somebody feels that we are digressing away from the actual topic, whatever we are discussing is not of interest to the whole class, you all can just shout out yellow cards. It means that we stop discussing on that particular topic for the benefit of everyone. But however, I will take the discussion offline with that particular participant either during the break or after the class. So anytime you all feel the need of using yellow cards, feel free to use them. Just shout out yellow cards. Okay. What else? Do we think this is a good list to start with? You can always come back and add more to the list.
Sure.
Yes, it's good to start. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now let me take you all through actually what are we going to cover over these next 3 days. For now, just remember sprint is a time box period during which some work gets done. For our discussion, we'll have 3 sprints. Today sprint 1, tomorrow sprint 2, day after tomorrow sprint 3. The sprint backlog is what is going to get covered in that particular sprint. Product backlog is complete agenda of the class. Okay. Product backlog keeps emerging. It's not static. It's dynamic. So by the end of day 3, you will see that your product backlog will become 3 times to what you're currently seeing now. which means I will keep adding new items as appropriate. I will detail the existing items. In a nutshell, what are we going to cover over these next 3 days? We'll talk about the Agile Manifesto, the 4 values, 12 principles. We'll talk about Agile Umbrella. We'll do a deep dive into Scrum framework. Right? We'll talk about Scrum team composition, Scrum Master, Developer, Product Owners. We'll discuss the 4 competencies of Scrum Master: teaching, coaching, mentoring, facilitation. We'll discuss a few facilitation techniques. We'll discuss how Scrum Master coaches the Scrum team, the organization, and the product owner. Then we'll talk about events: sprint, sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. We'll discuss a couple of retrospective facilitation techniques. We'll discuss the 3 artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, increment, and the corresponding commitments: product goal, sprint goal, and definition of done. Then we'll talk about process control theories, pillars of empirism, Stacy matrix, Scrum values, user stories, and estimation. So this is what we'll cover in a nutshell over the next 3 days. And as I said, I will keep adding the details to the backlog as we go through the class to elaborate them as appropriate. Any questions on the agenda, folks? What is going to get covered? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes? Are we all able to see the whiteboard, folks?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. So let's start with the first topic, Agile Manifesto, right? So all of us have been hearing the term Agile since a long time, right? So what is that one word that comes to your mind when I say Agile? What do you think Agile is about? What's that one word that comes to your mind when I say Agile? Yes? One word that comes to your mind when I say what is Agile? Whatever comes to your mind based on what you heard so far. Iterative, okay.
Iterative steps or iterative procedures.
Okay. What else?
Is a methodology. Agile is a methodology.
It's a method of working, okay. Approach of working. What else? What else comes to your mind? Anything, whatever what comes to your mind based on what you heard so far.
Set of guidelines.
Guidelines, okay. What else? Quick. Right, have you heard about these terms? Reflection.
Safe agile like that.
Safe agile is scaled agile,
Yes.
right? We work in short time boxes. All these we have. Basically, what are advantages of agile? Right? We are focusing on customer value, isn't it? What else? This is a background static from somebody's end. Yeah. What do you think Agile is all about? Anything that comes to your mind? Yes, transparency, isn't it? What else?
Team effort.
Team collaboration, okay. What else? Flexible, right? So basically, see, Agile is a way of working. It's an approach, it's a mindset. And if I follow the Agile way of working, what all we are listing down, these are all the advantages. Agile way of working allows us to work in short time boxes, iterative incremental development. We are focused on customer value, a lot of transparency. Team is collaborating. We work in short time boxes. Right? All these are advantages of Agile way of working. Actually, what is Agile? It's a mindset, it's an approach, it's a philosophy. And the Agile way of working is defined using 4 values, 12 principles, which is referred to as the Agile Manifesto. Now, how did this manifesto come into picture? There were around 17 thought leaders. To name a few of them: Alistair Cockburn, Jeff Sutherland, Mike Beadle, Mike Cohn, Ron Jeffries, Ken Schober, all these thought leaders were doing a lot of experiments at their own ends to counter the challenges posed by the traditional way of working. Traditionally, how do we work? We get all the requirements upfront, right? We do a requirement gathering phase. We do design, right? Then we do development. Outcome of your development, again we do testing. Finally, end of testing, assume I'm doing requirement gathering 2 months, design 3 months, development 4 months, testing and the 3 months. Maybe end of every 1 year, here in this example, I'm able to deliver something to the customers, value. So what these thought leaders have felt is that working like this in a sequential manner is posing a lot of difficulty for them to adapt to the changing market needs. Right? This way of working in a sequence is posing a lot of challenges for them to be flexible to adapt to the changing market demands. So what these people did is, instead of working like this in a sequential manner, they thought, let's work in short time boxes. So maybe a time box of say 1 month. We prioritize the requirements, take the top 3 or 4, do design, development, testing. So end of this testing, we are able to deliver something that's in a working state. While teams are working on these, then we pick the next 3 or 4. Then again we do design, development, testing. So end of this testing phase, again we are able to deliver something that's in a working state. So instead of working in a sequential manner, teams started working in short cycles, incremental manner. And this method of working allowed these thought leaders to be more flexible, adaptable to the changing market demands. And all of these thought leaders have done these experiments for a couple of years, working in short time boxes. And all of these people were successful. And when these people met in the year 2001 in Salt Lake City, Uttar, they started sharing their success stories with each other. And when they started sharing their success stories with each other, the way they have worked, as they were describing their way of working, there was something that was common that has emerged in all of their methods of working. So the common thing that has emerged in their way of working is put in front of us in the form of Agile Manifesto, which is a set of 4 values, 12 principles. Basically, this is a secret sauce of their success, which they are sharing with everyone. What we are seeing on the screen are 4 values. Then we'll also discuss about 12 principles. How do we read these values? Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. You see here there's something over in between. This means that left hand side items are more important than right hand side ones. It does not mean that we don't require right hand side ones. We still require the right hand side ones, but preference is given to the left hand side ones. Okay, let's go through each of them in detail. First one, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Now assume we have a cricket game. A cricket team is there. Okay. The team has great players. The processes, the rules of the game are pretty clear how to play the game. The tools used to play the game are also available, like the bat, ball, wicket, everything. So though the processes are in place, the rules of the game are clear, the tools are available, assume the team has great players, but they're not interacting, they're not collaborating, they're not planning the game well. So do you think they'll be able to win the game in spite of having all the processes and tools in place? Will the team be able to win the game? Yes or no?
No.
No, right? And it's common everywhere, whether it's a cricket team or a basketball team or a product development team or a HR team or a sales team or an operations team. Wherever we need a group of people working towards a common goal, the way they interact, collaborate is more important. Who is creating the processes? The team members, to help them do the work. How are the tools helping? Helping the team members do the work. But the collaborations are of utmost importance. Clear, folks? First value?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, so in this, Madhvi, each individual has their contribution
Yes.
to the things which they are supposed to do, and one cannot go and do things end to end. So
Yes.
it's a combined teamwork which
yes.
comes in picture.
Yes.
Right. Perfect.
Working software over comprehensive documentation. Now assume you want to buy a mobile. You have to go to a mobile shop. The salesperson shows you a quick demonstration of the working mobile in a couple of minutes. versus they give you a help booklet, they ask you to read the booklet, understand how mobile works. Which one would you prefer, the working demo of the mobile or the reading help booklet?
Working them.
Working demo. So what we are saying is that we are not saying don't do documentation. Do just enough amount of documentation that is required to support your working increment. But focus on developing something that is in a working state end of every time box. In Agile, we work in short time boxes, maybe max 1 month time box. So focus on building something that's in a working state end of every time box, and do just enough amount of documentation that you can do at the end of every time box. There's a myth, people think Agile says no documentation. Agile is not saying don't do documentation. What Agile is saying is that focus on delivering something end of every time box so that the customers can give you feedback. How much documentation you want to do to support this working increment, you design and do the bare minimum thing that is required. Clear, folks? Second value? Yes? Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Now assume you want to buy a house or a flat. We will obviously sign contracts with the contractors, right? But what do? Just because we signed the contract, do we go and see how our house got built after 2 years, or do we go see frequently? What do?
We see frequently.
We see frequently, right? Why do we do the frequent visits though contracts are already there in place, signed?
If there is something has to be,
Like we need to know the updation.
You need to know the update, yes.
if something needs to be changed,
Something
then
needs to
we
be
can do it
changed.
then itself.
Yes.
The raw
Checking the
material
progress.
construction quality,
You
is
want
it
to
up
check
to
the
the
quality, yeah. Right? Your house is at your stake, your product is at your stake, so you want to ensure that your house is getting built as per your expectations. So you go do frequent visits to ensure everything is done properly. You want to give feedback, you can change few things, right? So same thing even in product development or any industry. Every organization will get into contracts. So though we have contracts, the way we collaborate with customers is more important. So in Agile, we recommend invite your customers end of every time box here to see what the teams are building and give us feedback, so that the risk of the teams building something which is not in alignment with the customer expectations is drastically reduced. Even if there is a feedback, you get feedback every time box, something is going wrong, you can immediately course correct it. So a lot of visibility into the team's work in Agile. Collaboration with customers is important. Clear, folks? Third value?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Right, so we are not only working on the initial requisites or the initial
Yeah.
inputs given, rather we are working on
Continuously, yes.
what is currently required, or the
Yes.
current demand from the product is coming in.
Yes.
Okay. And it could be different. It could be drastically different for what we were doing originally and what we have to do right now.
Yes. Responding to change over following a plan. Now, in Agile, what we are saying is that whatever process you follow, it should allow you to respond to a change as and when required. For example, when I was at Intergraph, right, when Microsoft suddenly announced that they are going to remove support for all VB 6.0 components, we had to respond to the change. We said from next month on, all 20% of the team members' bandwidth will be dedicated to migrating VB 6.0 to VB.NET components. But responding to a change does not mean that I come interrupt the team anytime. The last responsible moment when teams can respond to a change is when the teams are planning the work or time box here. Here is where you look at what is important, respond to change. When you plan work here, you look at what is important, prioritize, respond to change. We don't recommend to interrupt the teams in between the time box here unless this is like a heart attack situation that teams has to change. Because once the teams have planned their work, if I change something in between here, whatever they planned will go for a toss. So generally we don't recommend teams getting interrupted in between the time boxes. You respond to a change while you're planning for the work in the time box here. That's the concept. Clear, folks?
So it's either done at the beginning of a new event or at the end of the last event. So it's not
Yes.
done frequently in between the final delivery is happening, or it's
Yeah.
in broken.
Unless it's like but suppose, right, the situation is like your team is supporting something in production. The production requests come at least 1 or 2 in a month, so you have to respond to production requests, especially P1 items. So in such cases, what you do is when you're planning the work here, you plan maybe only for 90% of bandwidth. 10% you keep aside for production. So that whatever you planned is not getting interrupted. That is how we'll have to plan. Clear, folks? Fourth value?
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, in the construction of building or something, it won't support, I think.
Yes. Depends upon again.
Only-
All
yeah, it depends on
these values principles, you have to apply it where it is applicable.
Okay.
Clear, folks? Even in construction of building, suppose I'm building a house, right? Now
Yeah.
here you come and see, you think that something, this window can be moved from here to there. So maybe is it the right
We
point
can-
for you to move here? You do it. Otherwise, next time box. So depends
Yeah.
where you want to apply. Is it applicable? You apply it.
Okay.
Clear, folks? 4 values are good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So based on these 4 values, we have 12 principles. These are called as agile principles. See, for now, just understand these values principles from layman perspective. Okay. How do they relate to Scrum framework? We'll discuss later when we do the Scrum framework. These agile values principles, they apply to any agile framework, including Scrum. So now what we're trying to do, we are understanding them from from a layman terms. And when we do Scrum framework, we'll come back to values principles. We'll try to map the framework to these principles to understand how Scrum supports this. Okay, right now just understand them as is. Don't worry about the framework Scrum. Okay. So if you look at these principles, right, all these principles are built on top of your values. Principles are practices that will help us implement the values at work. For example, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So here what we are saying, we want to satisfy our customers, collaborate with customers. How do we satisfy and collaborate? By delivering something early and often. So I can map my first principle to the second and third value. So each principle can be mapped to one or more than one value, because what are these principles? Principles are manifestations of your values, practices that will enable us implement the values at work. So every principle can be mapped to one or more than one value. Okay. Let's look at the second one. Welcome changing requirements even late in the development cycle. Customer agile processes harness change for customer competitive advantage. So first of all, why are we allowing customers to come up with the change? For their competitive advantage, right? Because if competitors are changing something in the market, we also have to keep up with the change. Otherwise, we tend to build obsolete products. That's why for their competition, for their competitive advantage, we are allowing them to change. But as I discussed, what is the last responsible moment, even late, when teams can respond to a change while they're planning the work for the current time box, not in between the time box. Any change coming in between, ideally recommended it wait, and we will take on that new change when we plan work for next time box. Clear, folks? Second principle. Good so far?
Yes.
Deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. Now in Agile, the maximum time scale at which we work is 1 month, not beyond a month. But should I be using a 1 week time box versus 2 weeks versus 3 weeks or 1 month? That is something the team will decide based on the complexity of work they are getting involved in. For example, when I was working at ECL Rapiscan, we used to interact with the bone densitometer. The bone densitometer used to take the scan of our hand. It used to give us a scanned image. We used to do a lot of image processing on the image, and we used to calculate the bone mass density, detect if the patient is prone to osteoporosis. So on that team, we had to do a lot of hardware interaction, software algorithm processing. So it was very difficult for us to design, develop, test anything within less than a month. So we used 1 month time box, which was working perfectly fine for us, because a lot of hardware, software interactions were happening. In contrast, when I was working at eBay, it was one of the web-based systems, right, in Bangalore. Everything was automated. So it was very easy for us to design, develop, test within 2 weeks. So should I be delivering at the end of every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 week? That is something that teams will decide based on the complexity of work they are getting involved in. Clear, folks? Preference, shorter time scale, not more than a month. Clear? The second value, second principle.
Yes.
Yes. Third one, right? Yeah. Now, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Now, what does this mean? Let me share the whiteboard to explain this. In the traditional way of working, okay, if this is a timeline and this is a visibility into the work, customers come at the beginning, they give the requirements, then they come at the end to see what the teams have developed. So a lot of visibility into the team's work at the beginning and end. But in Agile, what are we doing? We are inviting customers to come at the end of every time box, see what the teams have developed and give us feedback. So end of every time box, we're getting to see what the teams have developed, right? So there's a continuous visibility into the team's work in Agile. So that is what we mean by business developers work together to get visibility into what's happening on the team. Clear the concept? Fourth principle is clear?
Yes.
There is also one more principle that talks about sustainable pace. Now again, if this is a timeline, I am doing design, development and testing, and these are the stress levels that we generally undergo, right? When we are doing design development, everything looks fine, but when we get into testing, our stress levels shoot up enormously, right? All of us must have experienced this because we are not sure how many defects we'll get from the testing phase. We keep working extra hours. All of us will experience this. In Agile, what is happening? We are working in short time boxes like this. Now, every time box I should be doing design, develop, test, design, develop, test, design, develop, test, right? Every time box where I'm testing, I might get stressed out like this, right? Now, can the teams work in such high stress conditions every time box for a longer period of time? Is it possible? Is it sustainable? Every time box, will the teams be able to work in such high stress conditions? Can they work like this for a long run?
No, I don't
All right, they'll soon get burnout, isn't it?
Right.
So Agile recommends working at a sustainable pace. Now again, how is this possible? Based on the time available in this time box, pick just enough amount of work that you think you can do. Maybe you pick 4 or maybe you pick 3, whatever. How much ever you can do, you pick only that much. Planning based on the time available is very important. And how do we plan based on the time available? We'll discuss when we do the concept of sprint planning. The crux here is that just plan and pick enough amount of work so that you are able to work at a sustainable pace, because delivering end of every time box is not a joke, right? You have to plan properly. Here folks, sustainable concept pace.
Yes. Understood.
But Madhvi, that could also differ depending on the requirement. Like every time it might not be feasible that we could do that work or that particular update in a bits and pieces. If it is required and like it's a major release or something, I'll just quote one example. Like if we're doing a platform change, as you said, right? And if we're planning for a platform change, we say we have a defined timeline of 1 month, a shorter period which we've defined, right? And if we're switching and planning a platform change which is completely happening, there are other things which are associated with it. We might have to do the entire database migration, the user migration, licensing, then the CRM changes and all that. So we will go and delegate the work to the team accordingly. But if we go and say that we'll do it in a fixed time frame of 1 month, it might not be possible. So it could be extended like a month and a week or so.
We work in short time boxes, say 1 month.
Exactly.
What platform change work, what is that portion you can do is in 1 month, you'll plan for 1 month. Next month you'll do the remaining, and maybe after 2 months you'll do complete changes completed. What I'm trying to say is, suppose your platform change will take totally 3 months. Right? You will not commit now, and you're working in time box of 1 month. That is your cycle. So in 1 month, how much of the change you can do is what you'll plan only for that much work. Next month
Okay.
you'll again plan
So-
what you can do. So maybe after 3 months your complete platform upgrade is done. That is what I'm
So
trying to
it'll be a continuous flow of work, and
Exactly.
it won't be like we have to do it in a month, and irrespective of the workload which is coming. Okay.
So you
It
will
makes
plan
sense.
what is
Okay.
that you can do in a month. If you're working on a time box of 1 month, suppose I have a big release, right? A big release has so many features.
Mhm.
We pick only
Right.
4 or 5 in first month, then next 4 or 5 second month, next 5 or 6 third month. Now fourth month, suppose half of the team is going on leave, some festival season, then you only have 50%. You plan only for 50% bandwidth. So based on the team members available, based on the time you have, you pick only enough amount of work that you can do. That's what you're trying to say. Clear?
Okay.
So that is what this principle talks about. Agile processes promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers and users should be able to maintain a constant pace. Clear folks? The concept? Right?
Yeah.
Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Now here what we are saying is that in Agile, whatever we develop end of every time box, it should be working with what is already there in the system, right? I don't want to break something which is already existing, isn't it? Which means whatever I develop end of every time box should be working with the existing functionality, isn't it? Which means I should be testing whatever I'm developing every time box with whole system. If your system is really huge, do you think it is possible to manually test the whole system every 1 month? Not really, right? So there's a lot of focus on having automated integration and regression tests that run the moment you check in your code, and they keep giving you feedback whether your existing system functionality is fine because of your recent check-in or you broke something. You broke something, you can immediately course correct and roll back. Clear folks? Technical excellence, a lot of importance is there to technical practices like automation and all those things. Clear this principle?
Yeah, got it.
Simplicity, art of maximizing amount of work not done is essential. Now any guesses what is this principle talking about? Why is he saying maximize amount of work not done?
Not meeting the requirements.
Okay, what else?
Quality of the product at the last.
Okay, quality of the product, what else?
It doesn't mean if I'm trying to do something, I'll keep everything in the pending plot, pending, and the final end result is that my pending list is
Okay.
huge, or it's just too much. It's like 80% of the actual work, and what I have done is just 20%,
Okay,
as per my understanding.
what else? Why it is saying maximum amount of work not done?
I think that the maximizing the amount of work done means the work is pending at the end of
Hmm.
the sprint. That should be done with the maximizing the work. That I believe.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay, let me ask a simple question. How many features are there in Microsoft Word document? Microsoft Word.
Lot many features. Sir.
Lot of features, right? How many do we actually use?
Maximum 5 to 6. Not
Very
more
few,
than.
handful, right? So what this principle is saying is that you should be prioritizing your requirements continuously, identify what is really important. Okay. So the more you maximize what is not adding value to the product, we will be able to identify what is really important.
So you mean to say we should prioritize the things which are very essential to the
Exactly.
customer, and we should deliver it, or
Yes.
we should develop them.
Yes. So the more you maximize what is not adding value to the product, you'll be able to minimize what is really important. So maximizing the non-value added work is the crux here, eliminating waste.
Correct. Right.
Right? The more you, generally we say 20% of the features will deliver 80% of the value, right? So identifying those 20% of the features is a crux here. How will you identify those 20% of features? Once you start eliminating the 80% non-value added items. First focus on the most important ones and get them out first, and then you can next focus on what is really important next.
Okay, then in this case, there customer collaboration is more important to identify their value.
Yes. So collaborating with customers, understanding what is really important. Clear, folks?
Yeah, understood.
Eliminating waste basically. And so we're talking about keeping your product simple by focusing on what is essential. Don't just try to do everything just because we have time. Is it really valuable to the end users is what you are trying to discuss. Clear? And who will do this? Product owners.
So product owner will be working with the customer on this. right?
Customers to get the priority. Okay. Best architecture's requirements emerge from self-organizing teams. So here what we are saying is that the team should be self-organizing. They should be able to do their own design, development, testing, so that the team as a team is self-sufficient. You're not dependent on somebody else to do our work. Here? Make sense, folks?
Yeah.
At regular intervals, team reflects on how to become effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So here what we are saying is that end of every time box, the team should be doing a reflection, a quick lessons learned reflection to understand what went well in the sprint, what did not go well in the time box, how can we get better for upcoming time box. So with lessons learned reflection, so what we discuss, how can we get better every upcoming time box. Clear?
Clear.
Build projects around motivated individuals, give them environment and support they need and trust them to get the work done. So here we are saying that your team members should be motivated. Give them the goal, support them with whatever they need. Suppose they need any tools, infrastructure, environments, give them whatever they need, let them huddle around to achieve the goal so that they are learning to work on their own. Make sense? Most efficient and effective method of conveying information is face-to-face conversation. Now we did have face-to-face conversation even in the earlier way of working. Even in the traditional way we did have face-to-face conversation, right? What we are saying, just emphasizing the same fact. Wherever possible, have a face-to-face conversation. Because if you look at your team members face-to-face while you're talking to them, you exactly know what emotions they are going through and it will help you improve the team bond. So, but what will you do if your teams are distributed like this from the past 2 years? Use good collaboration tools like WebEx, Zoom or MS Teams so you can see your people face to face. Do a video call. Clear, folks? Right? Working software is primary measure of progress. So focus on building something that's in a working state end of every time box. Any questions on these principles? Are we good? Principles are clear? Okay. So as I said, each principle can be mapped to one or more than one value. Outline. Whenever you want, again click on the 3 dots, you will get outline. Second option, shapes and connectors, left side. Yeah, click that. Second, left side, second option. You have that. Yeah, click. Select on an arrow. No, take second one. Take second one. Click, just drag and drop. You don't need to drag actually, you know, just click and leave it there, I'll tell you. Or like that also you can do. That way also you can do. Or just click, come and just drag and drop, it will work. Yeah?
Yes, it is not secure.
So leave it. It will say accept. Yeah, leave it, Shriram, that's it. This is how you have to map. So take each principle, discuss and map it to one or more than one value. Clear? This is a team exercise. So Shriram, you will facilitate, everyone will give inputs to Shriram.
Okay.
Clear, folks?
Yeah.
Okay, continue. I'll just check other rooms and begin.
Yeah, I'm able to. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell me which one to select. Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked on, I think, the right pane. Yeah. So the first one, individuals and interaction over process and tools. Anybody knows what will be the agile principle mapped to this?
Actually, I'm not.
Shika, yeah?
So I think the first principle should go with the third one, the customer collaboration.
You mean the principle? I'm asking about the value to principle.
The third one would go to first.
Okay. 1 minute, let me see.
Like the customer collaboration over contract negotiation would go with the first principle.
I'm trying to find that the
This one, yeah.
yeah, it came. So the first one will go to
The third one will go with the first principle. The third will go with first principle.
third. You mean the agile principle?
He's
or
saying,
what?
yeah, agile value, third agile value, customer
Third
collaboration over contract negotiation will go with the first one, first agile principle.
Okay. How to relate this? Yeah. I know it's not working for me. I want to remove this arrow, but it's not. Yeah, I think it is there, but it's not showing the arrow.
That's okay, mate. No problem. Okay.
Okay. Any other options you got?
And the fourth agile value will go with the fifth one.
Sorry, Shika, not able to hear you clearly.
The first one will also be, can be attached to the second and third too. This working software over comprehensive and document. This first principle should also go to the second value.
This one, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And the second principle can also go to the first one. Welcome.
That I've already done.
No,
Okay, the second principle.
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
What about the last one, responding to change over following a plan?
So the last principle can be attached to this last value.
Okay.
It can also be the last value can also be related to the second last one principle, even to the third one too. Simplicity, it should be related to this last values as well. The art of maximizing the amount of work done responsibility to change over the following plan. Yep, this one, correct. And
What about this? Working software is the primary measure of progress.
It will map to second one, right? Working
Second one.
software.
yes, yes.
Looks like, yeah.
Even the above one principle, the most effective and efficient method of conveying information can also be led to the second one.
Most efficient will be second. Okay. Yeah.
Business people and developers should be connected to customer collaboration and contract.
Sorry, come again. Business people will be
with the like customer collaboration.
Customer collaboration.
Okay.
The build projects and motivation individual can be attached to the first value.
First one, yes.
Okay, done. Most efficient.
That
I
face to
think,
face also will be coming first, right?
Which one?
Interaction.
Even I feel the same. This most efficient and effective method will be first one, individuals. Right, Varuna?
Yeah. No, I am just giving it as per my understanding. So
Yeah, I think this looks like the individuals and interactions. We'll see face-to-face conversation. Agile process promotes
delivering working softwares can also be connected with this customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Delivering working software sequence. Yeah.
Yeah, done. What about agile process promote sustainable development? Anything we can do these two? It's not required that all of them should be mapped, I think.
The agile one should be connected to the last one. Responsibility to change over the following. That's what I think of.
Okay. Yeah, done. Well, only one is left, I think.
And the continuous one should also go with the last one, I think.
Technical excellence and good design. Change over following the plan. But good design means it will follow a plan, no? See, good design enhances agility. So something design follows a plan.
So it can go with the second one, like working software over comprehensive documentation. Might be.
But again, design is part of the documentation. No, I don't think it will be a software. Because design is a document. I don't think it fits to any of this. Continuous attention to technical excellence. Doesn't fit to any, as per my understanding, doesn't fit.
simplicity, see, the simplicity can also be related to customer collaboration, as per my understanding.
Oh my god. I
What?
tried to do Control Z. Something changed and I did Control Z. The arrows went away.
No problem. We will redo it.
Sorry for that. But alignment was the problem, so I tried to make it.
But no problem. The simplicity one should also be connected to collaboration.
Okay. This is blocking this view, that is a problem. I tried to remove this, but it goes, the alignment goes there.
Okay, let me try, because if any one of us are making changes, it will be reflected in this team group.
This is deliver working software, is this? What and this one agile process promote system development. And user should be maintained constant pace in the you guys can do.
Yeah, I'm doing it from my end because whatever changes we are making, it's reflecting here.
It's reflecting, no? So
Yeah,
then fine.
so I'm doing it. 1 second. I'm doing it as per my understanding. If anyone wants to, change it, we can go ahead.
What is that? Visiting horse, it's coming. Something in bracket. Oh, when you choose this, okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Let's wait till the breakout time is there. You can. If others are also okay, you can review the.
I think the most efficient and effective method of conveying information is the left one. Like we have not marked it to anyone.
Yeah, that is left. Conveying information to and within a development face to face. That is
Should be customer collaboration.
customer collaboration.
Can't it be a working software over comprehensive document?
I think it is marked by everyone. No?
It's almost time.
No,
Okay, so all of us are back home. I hope we are all now set with the mirror access. I think once you access, next time it will be clear. Are we good with the access part of it? I extended the timer by 5 minutes because we lost some time in getting the access.
Yes, yes, of course.
How about the discussion experience in the breakout rooms? Was it good?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it is good.
Yes,
it was
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, cool. So I think if you're getting out of your VPN, the speed is fast. Your company sometimes will block these sites, right? That's the reason the speed might be a little slow. So just disconnect from VPNs. I think it was good and use Chrome. Don't use Edge.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right, Madhvi. Actually,
Yeah.
due to the pulse secure, that is what.
Okay. So what I will do is, see, randomly for every exercise, I'll pick a team and correct. Suppose now I do team 2, then I'll do team 3. But end of the class, what I will do is I will correct all exercises on one team mural and I will share that mural with all of you all for all the right answers. So is that okay? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So now let me look at team 2 this time. Okay. So we have mapped the first individuals and interactions to build business people and developers must be working together daily throughout. Okay. Then we also have mapped it to motivated team members. Okay. Then having face-to-face conversations. You can also map it to sustainable development. Sponsors and developers should be working together daily throughout. You can also map it to teams reflecting end of every time box. You can also map it to best self-organizing teams. So this is how the first value can be mapped to a couple of principles. Okay. Let's look at the second one. How did you folks map it? Working software is primary measure of progress. We have mapped it to working software over comprehensive documentation. You can also map it to our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. You can also map it to welcome changing requirements, deliver working software frequently from couple of weeks to couple of months, and then just simply prioritizing requirements so that we know what to deliver. This is about self-organizing things. I will not map this to self-organizing things. I will map this to the simplicity. Prioritizing so that we know what to deliver. I think we already mapped. This will be fine. Okay, now let's look at the third one. Customer collaboration or contract negotiation. Our highest priority is to satisfy customers through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Welcome changing requirements even late in the development. Again, it's about collaborating with customers. Business people and developers. Again, customer collaboration. Right? Simplicity. Collaborate with customers to understand what is important. Regular intervals reflecting with the customers again. Responding to change over following a plan, we map it to welcome changing requirements even late in the development cycle. I'll map this to simplicity, prioritizing so that we are able to respond to a change. Teams respond to change at regular intervals by reflecting. We can also map this to highest priorities to satisfy customers. Deliver working software frequently, we respond to change. This is how one principle can be mapped to a couple of more values. And why are we able to do the mapping? Because principles are manifestations of the values. This is why each principle can be mapped to a couple of values. Clear, folks?
Yes, Madhu.
Yes. And why are we able to map the principles to values? Because principles are manifestations of values, are built on top of your values. This is the relationship. Make sense?
Okay.
Now for your exam, you will not be asked questions to map because it is one to many. We did the mapping, so first of all we understand how they are related to each other. So from exam perspective, what you need to remember, from the values perspective, you might get jumbled up values. For example, individuals and interactions over working software, combination 1. Combination 2, individuals and interactions over comprehensive documentation. Combination 3, working software over comprehensive documentation. Combination 4, responding to change over contract negotiation. Which one of the value was the right value among the list I identified? Should I repeat the options again?
Yeah.
Option 1, individuals and interactions over comprehensive documentation. Option 2, working software over customer collaboration. Option 3, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Option 4, responding to change over comprehensive documentation. Which one of them was the right combinational value?
Third one, customer
Third one,
collaboration over
contract negotiation. So value side, you will get jumbled up values, identify the right combinational value. Okay. Principles, you will get simple scenario statements. You should be able to identify which principle is getting referred to in a particular scenario. For example, which principle talks about self-organizing team? Which principle talks about self-organizing teams? Which principle?
The best architecture
12th one,
for
at regular intervals.
Yes. Which principle talks about teams reflecting end of every time box?
Business people and developers.
Business people and
developers. Regular.
Yeah, regular intervals
throughout the project.
Right? Last one, regular intervals team reflects on how to become effective. Which principle talks about having face-to-face conversation?
The most efficient and effective
method. Which principle talks
Individual
about?
centered.
Talking about principle, not value. Okay. Which principle talks about allowing customers to welcome changes, to come up with a change for their competitive advantage?
Customer
Welcome
collaboration.
changing requirements.
Collaboration over contract
Second
negotiation.
one. Second principle.
Second one.
Yeah.
Which principle talks about motivating your team members?
Build projects around
Motivated individuals.
Which principle talks about following good technical practices?
Continuous attention to
technical excellence. Yeah.
Right? So principle side, you will get simple scenarios. You should be able to identify which principle is getting referred to. Values, jumbled up values, identify which value is the right combination. Clear, folks?
Okay.
Good so
Yeah.
far?
Yeah, good.
Yes, Madhu.
So based on these values principles, we have different agile frameworks that have been formulated. These agile frameworks are referred to by the metaphor of an agile umbrella. We have different agile frameworks that have been formulated, and these agile frameworks are referred to by a metaphor of an agile umbrella. So agile umbrella refers to collection of agile frameworks. Whenever I say something is an agile framework, the framework is built on top of 4 values and 12 principles, which is referred to as the agile manifesto. Different agile frameworks. Scrum is one of the agile frameworks. Extreme programming, dynamic system driven development, Crystal, feature driven development, Kanban. All these are different agile frameworks. Now whenever I say something is an agile framework, the framework is built on top of your values principles. Okay. In Scrum, we work in short time boxes called as sprints. And I can use Scrum only when I can plan my work when I can plan my work for upcoming sprint, I go for Scrum. When I can plan my work here for every sprint, I go for Scrum. But suppose now your team is working on production support. It's a pure production support team. Can you plan what production support tickets you will work for the next 1 month or 2 weeks? Will you have that visibility? Can you do upfront planning?
Yeah.
You're a production support team. So can you say these are the 20 tickets I will work for the next 2 weeks? Yes? No, right? Production support comes every day. Whenever you get support, you prioritize, get the work done, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in situations where you cannot plan your work upfront like this, we go for Kanban. Your team is serving support team, you're working with other teams, taking service requests, we go for Kanban because you don't have visibility into what is coming up. You can't plan your work upfront. Extreme programming also, we should be able to plan work upfront. In extreme programming, we work in just 2 weeks time box. And extreme programming recommends using some technical practices like continuous integration, continuous deployment, feature-driven development, and all those things.
So sprint is applicable only on Scrum or
Only Scrum,
all?
Scrum.
Okay.
Now, Crystal, feature-driven development, dynamic system-driven development are like obsolete frameworks. Nobody is using. The most commonly used framework Scrum, XP, Kanban. I will use Scrum and XP when I can plan my work upfront like this. Scrum maximum 1 month time box. XP max 2 weeks. And XP also recommends some technical practices. Kanban I will use when I can't plan my work upfront. So production, maintenance team, service team, they go for Kanban. Clear, folks? Good so far?
Can you please explain about XP again? Sorry.
Extreme programming, we work in 2 weeks time boxes. So you have to still plan your work. In extreme programming, in addition to the process recommendations, it also talks about some technical practices like continuous integration, continuous deployment, automation, pair programming. Scrum does not recommend any technical practice. Scrum says use whatever practices you want to use. It remains silent. XP recommends a few of them. That's the primary difference.
Okay.
XP. So is it like that if we want some product in urgent basis, so we in that case?
No. We will use Scrum also. See, why Scrum remains silent on technical practices is Scrum can be used across any industry. I can use in product development, automobile, HR. So what technical practices you want to use, it says use whatever apply to your nature of work. XP is actually more disciplined. So generally people go for Scrum. People follow the technical practices extreme programming is recommending inside Scrum.
Okay. Yes.
Murthy, it will work for single team or it will work for multiple teams?
Multiple teams. Throughout organization, you can apply any of these frameworks.
Okay.
And we will do a deep dive into Scrum framework. Clear, folks? Any questions so far?
XP, which we are referring to, stands for?
Extreme Programming Agile Framework. XP stands for Extreme Programming.
Extreme Programming. Okay. Okay, I thought expert programming. Okay, extreme programming. Good. But XP, there are defined tools, defined methodologies which has to be followed as far as I know. Right. So we can include XP as a part of a Scrum practice.
You follow the XP practices inside Scrum. Technical practices you follow.
Because Scrum, when we say Scrum or when we say Agile practice, it itself is an amalgamation of various techniques, various methodologies which we can use, and it could be a combination of like a waterfall with a hybrid one.
No.
So XP could be an integrated part of it. Yeah.
No. See, there's no hybrid here. All these are different Agile frameworks. Okay, the technical practices recommended by Extreme Programming Agile framework are generally used by any Agile team, whichever framework they're following. Okay. Clear, folks? So we'll do a deep dive into the Scrum framework. Are we good so far? Any queries? Clear?
Yes, clear.
Let's look at the workbook. This is our workbook, right? So we started with the 4 values. See, in your workbook, you'll have some extra pictures, digital pictures that will help you understand the concept. What I'm putting on the whiteboards are my notes. So we spoke about the 4 values, 12 principles. We map the principles to values to understand how they are related, right? Then we spoke about Agile umbrella. So here is where we stopped. So basically, whatever we are discussing, your workbook is a source of documentation. I'm not just doing a PowerPoint presentation, but instead of a PPT, I'm using workbook. I'm using the whiteboard to write and explain the concepts. But whatever I'm putting on whiteboard is there in your workbook. So is everyone comfortable with the pace and format of the class? Are we all able to follow? Yes?
Yes.
All the mural links will be available to you all after the class. You can log on to the murals, check your exercises, and end of the day I'll share one mural with all correct answers. Whiteboard notes also I'll share end of the day, day 3. If you all want, I'll share a PDF format of the whiteboard notes. So that way we have everything that we are doing in the class. Comfortable? Everyone is able to follow? Pace, format is fine?
Yeah.
Just a quick check.
Yeah, fine.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay, then what we can do, we can take our first 15-minute break, come back, and then we'll start with some values.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Thank you.